Did the Yankees find their next Fernando Cruz? Let's talk about it.
Brunson born to play basketball.
3,000! History with an exclamation!
Anthony for three. Bang! That one goes down, and the game is tied. Yankees are champions of baseball.
All right. Welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome to episode 1000 of BD4. And in this episode, we are going to discuss a minor league baseball player. Very fitting for episode 1000, being this is a podcast that gets absolutely no traffic still years later. But I do appreciate those who do tune in. We're going to discuss the Yankees. We're going to talk about a move they made last night. Which was Thursday the 12th, they went out and signed a veteran right-handed relief pitcher, somebody who has been in the league for a minute. He has spent 11 seasons in the big leagues since 2014. That's a year after I graduated high school. So he's been in the league for a bit. Spent time with the Mets. He was a top prospect in their system, had a lot of hype, spent time with Texas, Seattle, Houston, won a World Series with Houston, Atlanta, Detroit most recently in the second half of 2025, and now possibly spending time with the New York Yankees as he was extended an invitation to spring training on a minor league contract. So that is Rafael Montero, who we'll be discussing in this show. Somebody who is nothing. He's another one of those under the radar, let's take a flyer on him type guys. And that's what the Yankees have been doing the entire winter. He's got some good stuff. There are things to like about him, which we will get into in this show. There are also things to not love about him. Again, as we mentioned, 11 seasons in the big leagues. Only 3 of them have come, or he's only produced 3 seasons with an ERA plus better than league average. 2 of them have come with less than 30 innings pitched. The other one was all the way back in 2022. So, not much of a run preventer. Only 3 seasons of those 11 he spent with a walk rate league average or better. 2 of them with less than 30 innings pitched. The other one was all the way back in 2021. So some run prevention issues, some walk issues. Last season, he spent time with 3 different teams, from Houston to Atlanta to Detroit. But overall, 4.48 ERA, 16 1/3 innings, 58 strikeouts, and a 131 whip. With Houston, beginning of the season, 4 innings, 2 runs, got traded to the Braves, 34 1/3 innings, 5.50 ERA. Then was with Detroit in his final 21 innings, posted a 2.14 ERA. So, did he find something there with the Tigers down the stretch? Possibly. We are going to discuss all of that. So, with that said, let's get to our first break here in episode 1000, and we'll get back and talk about what Rafael Montero brings to the table. We'll talk about his pitch mix. We'll dive into some of the metrics and all of that. Stay with us.
Quick break here, guys. Stay connected with BD4 on social media. Follow us on Instagram and X at BD4Pod, and find us on Facebook by searching BD4. Don't miss out. Join the conversation. Want more BD4? Subscribe to our YouTube channel and never miss an episode. Hit that like button, drop a comment, and share with your fellow fans. Don't forget to ring that bell so you're always the first to know when a new video drops. Love BD4 but don't have the time to sit down and watch? Don't forget to subscribe on Apple Podcasts and Spotify so you never miss an episode. And if you're enjoying the show, leave us a 5-star rating and a quick review. It helps us grow and keeps the conversation going.
Okay, welcome back to the show, episode 1000 of the podcast. I appreciate whoever is tuning in. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching so far, wherever it is you are getting this podcast. Talking about Rafael Montero, minor league signing that the Yankees made last night. Again, as we said, there's some good, there's some bad, but I want to talk more about what he has in his pitch mix, what's in his bag. We'll start by talking about a four-seam fastball that is an interesting pitch. There is some good to it, but it's definitely not his best pitch. He uses it actually the second most, 40% of the time. I think the good part of the profiling on it is that it's got some velo. It sits 95 miles an hour. He locates it pretty well. It graded out in location plus as 101 last season. It gets 2,400 RPMs on it, which was 72nd percentile last year. 24.5 whiff rate, 24.5% whiff rate. That was 71st percentile for four-seamers. 229 average on the fastball last year. 371 slug. Obviously a very good slash line there. The bad parts of the fastball is that as he has aged and he's 35, he's losing it a little bit. He has seen a small drop in velocity on it, but he's also seen dips in the expected average, the expected WOBA, and also the whiff rate. The last 3 years, all of those metrics have been declining. Last season, his expected average was 252, and the expected slug was 463, so that's not very good. It was hit pretty hard, 61% hard hit rate. That's first percentile among four-seam fastballs. So when they do connect on it, it does get hammered. And I think a big part of that is because it doesn't have a lot of rise, but it has a lot of tail. You kind of want the opposite for your four-seamer. But he got 14.8 inches of induced rise, which was 36th percentile last year among four-seam fastballs. And he got 9.8 inches of induced tail on the four-seamer, which was 72nd percentile. So it's a pitch that has a lot of arm side action on it, but not a ton of ride. That's, again, you can leave that in the middle of the plate and get crushed. So overall, the four-seam fastball, despite some good characteristics, he is losing it a bit as he's aged. It's not as powerful of a pitch as it once was. And I do think because of that, coming to the Yankees, he should lean more into off-speed as he did last year because he has a very good splitter. That's a pitch that he threw 47% of the time, the most of his arsenal last season. It's his out pitch. He used to throw more of a changeup, but he switched up the grip on that, and now it's more of a splitter. He'll throw it to lefties 63% of the time, but he's not afraid to use it to righties, 35% to righties. It's got a lot of good characteristics on it. 114 location plus on the splitter last year, so he spots it very well. 36% whiff rate, which for a splitter, that was 55th percentile of guys who threw it at least 100 times last year. Got a 168 average and a 292 slug. That's obviously very excellent. 171 expected average and a 292 expected slug. Again, very excellent expected numbers. That's his ground ball pitch. It's his soft contact pitch. I think the three traits that show that are 0.1 or 0.9 inches of induced drop on the split last year. That was 71st percentile, so it drops very well, falls off a cliff. Got 3 degrees of launch angle on it. Remember, league average and launch angle is about 12%. So that means it's going to be hit on the ground, 28% hard hit rate, that 71st percentile. So very good at getting ground balls and soft contact with that pitch, which is good with the infield the Yankees have. 12.1 induced fade on it. So we're talking horizontal break. That was 60th percentile last year. So there's still a decent amount of fade on it. But it's a splitter that's kind of the opposite of Fernando Cruz's splitter, which if you watch him throw his split, his plays more like a forkball because of its low velocity and the big difference from the four-seamer, and it has low spin. Montero's the opposite. He has a high spin, high velo split. He gets 1,600 RPMs on it, which was 80th percentile, and he throws it at about 88 miles an hour. It's only 7 miles an hour less than his four-seamer. You go to someone like Cruz, I believe he got like 840 RPMs on the split last year, threw that pitch at 80 miles an hour, and his four-seam sits 93, 94. So there's your difference between the two types of splitters. But I did find an interesting little artifact on it. You know, looking into some of the metrics, it only had 94 stuff plus, which is odd because, again, it got a lot of swing and miss. It gets a lot of movement. You'd think it would be a lot better. So I'm not sure. Again, I'm not an analytics guru. I don't know a ton, but that's 6% below average and stuff. But keep in mind with some of those percentiles, a lot of the guys in baseball now are throwing split changeups. So that's going to classify as a changeup. So that kind of impacts the way that the splitter ranks. They separate those two pitches. But the split's his best pitch. He's also got a pretty good slider. It's a slider that got 111 stuff plus last year, 104 location plus, 85 miles an hour. It got enough spin, 2,400 RPMs. That was 58th percentile. Hitters were 0 for 17 on the pitch last year. And the expected slash line, very good, 110, 165. 15% hard hit rate on the pitch. That was 97th percentile. 1.3 inches of induced drop. That was 56th percentile. But 7.4 inches of induced horizontal break, so it does slide. 88th percentile there. Gets a lot of weak pop-ups. So a lot of good stuff there, right? But it's interesting because all those are very good metrics, but again, he only throws this pitch 8% of the time. And being that it's a slider, as a right-handed pitcher, he goes to it exclusively against righty bats. Only had a whiff rate of about 23%. That's 20th percentile in baseball for sliders of guys who throw it at least 50 times. I think it's because of how he spots it. I think that's why it's been so effective. He keeps it low and away. He keeps it out of the zone very often. But yeah, it's a pitch I want to see him lean into a little bit more with the Yankees. We've discussed here plenty of times how the Yankees last year at least lacked an effective righty slider guy. So I would like to see, if this kid ever makes it back to the bigs, I would like to see what that looks like. And then he's got a two-seam fastball. That's more of a mixed bag. It's more of a traditional two-seamer than a sinker. It gets 8.5 inches of induced sink, which is 50th percentile, so dead average, but 16.2 inches of induced tail. That was 69th percentile. So it does run arm side, but it still gets a lot of ground ball contact. Doesn't get any whiff, but it's a ground ball pitch. -5 degrees in launch angle, 31% hard hit rate, which was 89th percentile for two-seamers of guys who threw it at least 50 times. Really good stuff plus metric at 117, 114 location plus, throws it 95 miles an hour, 2,300 RPMs on it. That was 72nd percentile. So a lot of good. But you look at some of the results that it got hammered by right-handed hitting. A 467 batting average, a 600 slug. That's atrocious. The expected numbers were a lot better, but still not great. 336, 413. But again, small sample. He only uses it 5% of the time, exclusively to righties. Likes to jam it in on the hands. But I do think there's some stuff that you can work with here. For Matt Blake, despite the age, I still think there's something to be unlocked here. I think you can play his off speed off the heat, especially with the arm slot he has. Throws it very sidearm. It's not quite sidearm, but it's pretty much sidearm. And so if all pitches look the same coming out, it can be tough to read. So if the Yankees can find something there, you can do a lot with them. The four-seamer and the splitter, that's a good combo to go to either side with because the split drops straight down. For right-handed hitters, you can tunnel the split with the sinker. The split's got a lot of drop. The sinker's got a lot of tail. So those are two different planes, east to south, south to east. Those are two different speeds. You can tunnel the slider with the sinker for righties. The slider's got that horizontal break. The sinker's got the opposite plane, running arm side. So that's west to east, east to west. You can use the four seam to play off the slider, right? There's a lot you can do for lefties. You can play the slider off the splitter, go west to south. Interesting stuff. There's a lot you can do because of the pitch mix, because of the metrics. And overall, last season, he had some really good metrics if you go on his StatCast. His Savant page was all red. His strikeout rate, 53rd percentile, velocity, 63rd percentile, hard hit rate, 64th percentile, expected ERA was 70th percentile, his barrel rate was 72nd percentile, his average exit velo was 75th percentile, his whiff rate was 78th percentile, ground ball rate was 79th percentile, chase rate 81st percentile, and expected average 88th percentile. So the one I found was interesting was the K rate, right? The K rate I found interesting at 53rd percentile because that's low. It's pretty low relative to the amount of chases and the amount of swings and misses he gets, right? And he gets some good movement on his pitches. So you would expect that number to be a lot higher than what it was. So maybe that is something that the Yankees can unlock in him, that Matt Blake can get in him, whether it's tweaking his mechanics or whether it's messing with his pitch mix and the usage on certain pitches versus righties versus lefties, just going to different sequences. I would be interested to see what the Yankees development team can do with this kid in spring training at least, and see where that lands him, right? Because there are some big questions with him. Obviously the track record's not good overall, but I think his biggest issue is walks. That's not great if he's to come to a Yankee pen that already throws a lot of off speed and they already walked a lot of guys last year. This year they do have more velo, more fastball guys, but they also did add some more walk prone guys on top of some of the guys they have here. Montero had a 15% walk rate last year. That was first percentile. That means that was worse than the rest of the league. That's not going to cut it because you've got Camilo Doval, who walks more than anybody. Same with Luis Gil, same with Fernando Cruz. So there's a reason that nobody wanted this kid or this man. There is a reason he's on a minor league contract. He is 35 years old, I don't want to say he's yet to be untapped because he had 2022, but you're hoping you can squeeze one more good season out of him, or just not even that. If he's part of this pen in the first half, just somebody who can give you some innings until Calvary arrives, until you can slide some of your starters back into the bullpen when guys come back. That's what you need. You just need him to be here if guys go down. He's probably not even going to make the team. He could probably be another Caleb Bort who gets cut a couple of days after we release this episode. So I do think there are some similarities to Fernando Cruz, though. Just being a journeyman reliever with very little success in the past, some control issues, but also some good stuff. A very good splitter, high whiff rates, older player, possibly a diamond in a rough type guy. But yeah, the fit is questionable. You just hope he's here as depth, right? See what he has in spring. If he breaks camp, see what he has for you in a month or two, however long he's up there. But it's a pen that has some good stuff, and it's also a pen that has some very questionable track records. David Bednar, I think we can all agree that we've got all the faith in the world in him. Tim Hill, you can trust him for lefties. And then it's like, well, Camilo Doval's talented, but he's a project. Jake Bird is talented, but he's a project. Angel Chavihi, who they brought in, he's talented. He's also a project. Fernando Cruz, talented, up and down vet. Yerry De Los Santos, talented but unproven. Brent Hedrick, same thing. And then you get, it gets pretty thin after that. It's like Blackburn and Winquist and Yarbrough. So there's a lot of questions with the bullpen. I've got zero questions really with the lineup. Not zero, but I'm confident in the lineup. I've got a lot of confidence in the rotation as long as they can get through spring healthy. Hopefully Schlittler's okay. Hopefully Cole progresses as we think he can. Same with Rodon and etc. But the pen, yeah, I don't know. It sucks to have a pen that's so questionable after your pen was so bad last year. I know you got rid of a lot of dead weight, but there are still some questions. This could be what makes or breaks the Yankees division or makes them a wild card team, right? It sucks because the bullpen used to be their strength, and bullpens are a bigger and bigger part of baseball every year now. So it's not going to look like it does now, the pen in the second half. I know that. Deadline moves and pickups and promotions and starters moving to the pen. That's what I'm banking on. Like, that's the hope that I have, is that at least this bullpen is going to look a lot different, like most do in the second half of the year. So that's who we're talking about. That's who we talked about on this show. Rafael Montero, episode 1000. Congratulations, you got episode 1000. But what do you guys think? Do you think it's a good move? Do you think it's a whatever move like me? Let me know. I appreciate you all tuning in, and I'll see you soon. Hey guys, thank you for listening to BD4. Be sure to follow us on social media, subscribe to us on YouTube, and give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. We'll see you next time.